Hey everybody, welcome to Bible Tech. Today we're going to be learning how to use the awesome and free photo editing software on your mobile device. It could be your tablet or your smartphone, whether you're using an Android device or an Apple device. It doesn't matter. The Snapseed app is free in either the App Store or the Google Play Store, and it's so easy, anybody can use it. Today we're going to take a look at a picture I took at a Tesla dealership. There's a lot of things we can do with it. Let's take a look. So right now on the screen I have Google Photos open, and you use Google Photos on an Android device or an Apple device. And you don't have to use Google Photos. You could just use the Snapseed app with whatever gallery app you have. It's just a photo app. So I'm going to go ahead and click this little button right here, or tap it, whichever. And then there's a little grid down here, and it says, when we click it, it gives us the different editing options. And I have Snapseed already installed, so I'm going to go ahead and click Snapseed. And we could have just gone in the Snapseed app and opened it from there, but this is just a little bit faster. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at these options. There's all sorts of fun little things here. You can really bring out the floor and the color of the car. By choosing this morning filter, it really makes it look like it's a brighter location. It brings out the lights, and honestly, that's a lot closer to what the place actually looked like. We can also just do a silhouette if we want to go for a more grungy look. And before you say, hey, I've seen these kind of filters before, this isn't that big of a deal. Well, we haven't even gotten into it yet, so I'm going to go ahead and hit the apply with the little check mark. I'm going to go to tools now, and look at all these tools. There's quite a few tools here. They're just fantastic. You can do all sorts of things. Especially if you're into taking selfies, it has a lot of little things to like clear up blemishes or do things with your face that are just fun. Let's go ahead and see what Vintage does. Vintage gives us a few filters here that we can choose from. I really like that one. It looks really nice. And that one does too. That looks like an old Polaroid. Kind of a bluish tint along the edges. Very, very nice. Alright, let's play with this one for a second. So you can see how it says brightness 0 at the top. If I tap and scroll up and down by moving my finger or my mouse cursor right here, it allows me to change all of these different options for this particular filter. So to give you an example of what that is, I'm holding my virtual finger here up and down. I'm going to move it left and right now. Let's see here. There we go. So you can bring up the style strength to 100%. Doesn't look so good now anymore, does it? Alright, let's bring it up to about 30-ish where it was. Let's go to vignette strength. Oh, that looks nice. That was pretty cool. Let's bring up the bring down the saturation a little bit, or we bring it up too. That really brings out the car, doesn't it? It looks like it's glowing in an ad or whatever. And bring it all the way down, and it makes it kind of a black and white. And bring it back up to there. I'm gonna go down to brightness. I'm gonna bring that up. That looks pretty cool. And it's quite a bit different from the original. So let's oh, that's interesting. This is a blur option, so it blurs out the things around the central point. Very cool. They just keep adding features to this all the time. So I'm gonna go ahead and cancel this out, and we're gonna see what the original looks like. Actually, you can click this little button at the top right, or hold your finger on it. Here's the original, and here's what we did. See that? It totally changes the whole atmosphere of the picture. And I'm going to go ahead and cancel that out so we can see what the other things look like. We can change the perspective. This tool is cool. So we can virtually tilt the picture, so it looks like it's from a different angle, and you can see how it filled that stuff in. It's very cool. I've seen people use this to make it look like people are talking when they're not. and it's guessing. See this light up here? It's computer generated. It just guessed if there was a light there. It looks very natural. It's actually filling in blank spaces. See that? Very cool. Alright, let's see what else we can do. Let's see frames. So frames, you can just add a picture type, frame type thing. It's nice for when you're printing it out. Now what I want to show you guys is text. Text is what I use a lot for advertising. So for instance, I can click the little button down here to see the different options I can do for the ads, or the text rather. And if you use 2 fingers, you can make it bigger and rotate it. All sorts of stuff with that. It's fun. Alrighty, let's go ahead and choose one that looks more advertising. That's definitely professional marketing terminology. So, I'm sure you've seen something like this before. It's pretty familiar. I'm going to tap it to change the text. Yes, I know that's ridiculous. That's the point. Alright, here we go. So with Snapseed, you can make fairly professional marketing material for social media, as you can see. And we can tap and change colors of that now. That's a new feature. I mean, this would even work good for brochures. And what's funny about this is this app is really very easy to use, and a lot of professionals use it, and it's on a phone. And it's unfortunate that a lot of these functionalities aren't available on some sort of web browser app. Snapseed is actually owned by Google, who makes Google Photos. So it is unfortunate that we don't have this kind of on a desktop experience. In this case, I did plug my phone into my computer and I can use my mouse like that, but it's really meant for fingers. It's meant for a touchscreen. Tablets work well with it, so that's a good thing if you want to use a bigger screen. It's really just a fantastic tool, and we can take a look at the other options here, like changing the transparency or opacity. We can invert it, so that's all you see, and we can make it bigger actually. Like that. Very cool. Alright, let's go ahead and cancel out of that. Let's take a look at some of these other tools. Let's take a look at the curves option. That's kind of a professional thing. You kind of gotta know what you're doing for the desired effect, which I don't. Even though I do some basic color grading in my video editor from time to time, I am not gonna let anybody say I actually know how to use a histogram or a curves tool. But once in a while, if you scroll around with it enough with a certain camera and you're used to your camera, you can kind of figure it out. And I'm just messing around here. I have no idea what I'm doing. It's pretty cool. Let's see. You can just change individual colors too with this little option down here. Very cool. And luminance. So I mean, there's a lot of nice little features, and the really cool thing about this is the newest Apple devices and Android devices for a very long time have been able to support flash drives and SD cards plugged directly into them. And that's really cool, because then you can just, if you're a photographer, you can just take your device or whatever and you can plug things in. You can even plug cameras directly into these devices now with adapters. And it's really, really handy. So you can take your photos that you just took and you can edit them on your tablet or your phone. And I actually have a relative of mine who's a pretty good amateur photographer, and he's been doing that for a couple of years now. Really, really cool stuff. The thing I would recommend is if you're doing something like that, make sure your screen is fairly color accurate, because iPads ironically are good for that. Samsung tablets do. I think you can change the color modes, but by default Samsung screens are extremely oversaturated. And you can also do other things like cropping, rotating, expanding, which I'm actually really curious what it's going to try to do here. Oh wow, alright, so it's going to try to guess what's over here. Oh, that's actually really cool. So there's like some Photoshop level features here. It's guessing what's around there, and obviously it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, and it's really kind of obvious that it's an edit. But if you need to really cram something in, you can clean it up a little later. If you're trying to scale up an image, that is pretty cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a look at the selective feature. And you can actually set a point where you're going to change something. I'm going to choose my face, and I'm going to change the brightness of my own face. So I'm just brightening up that area right there, and I'm going to change the saturation to, it's probably going to make me turn like red, and it does. So so I'm going to hit the apply button. Yeah, so it turned my face kind of red. So you can selectively apply things like that. I'm going to go back to undo. That's this little back arrow up here. And let's go back into the tools menu and see what else we got here. Let's see. Let's do lens blur. That's popular. So with lens blur, you can have a selected area. And you can make it have a blur around the edges of the screen, and obviously we want my face. And you can, if you use your fingers, you can make that area broader, which is really what you want to do. And let's go to transition. We're going to bring it down a little bit, and we're going to go up to strength, and we're going to bring it all the way up. Very cool. Let's bring the blur strength up too. Let's hit apply and see what that looks like. Oh, you know, better yet. Here's the original, and here's what we did. Very, very, very neat stuff. So that is a couple of the tools that you can use. You can also do fun stuff like double exposures, where you choose another image and overlap it. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that. I go to photos, and this is stupid really, but I'm going to take a picture of my keyboard here and I'm going to overlap it. And you do stuff like that. If you if you had an image you were intending to do that with, it would make a lot more sense. But in my case, it obviously does not make sense. Now, if you're taking a lot of selfies, there's like portrait modes to clean up your face. That'll add a lens, sort of like a DSLR-like effect, even if your camera doesn't have that feature, which is really cool. Make it look more professional, sort of. And I can tell to try harder to find my face. That's pretty funny. But it really works better if the face is a lot closer. And this is probably the same technology that's being used to, yeah, it's pretty cool too. Probably the same technology that's being used in Google's Pixel phones. So you can effectively apply the Pixel-like functionality after the fact. Very cool stuff. Alrighty. I also want to show you guys how to save your picture and share it when you're done. So I'm going to hit the done button at the top left, and it saves the photo. And it should actually show me those edits right here. Let's see, I might have to go to my device folders to see where that is. Yep, there it is. So it actually puts your pictures on another Snapseed folder in your gallery app. So to see them, you actually have to enable that folder or find it in your gallery app. And from there, you'll actually be able to find it on your computer as well. If you're using Google Photos like I am, it's already basically on my computer. All I have to do is go to Google Photos in my web browser, and here's our original right there, nice and big. And here is the one we just did. Let's go ahead and refresh the page. Should show up on the top. There it is. And I can do anything I want with it. I can download it to my computer like this, with the little 3-dot menu, the overflow menu on the right, and hit download. And I can, you know, order prints of it, whatever I want to do. Set it as my wallpaper on my computer. Really, there's a lot of options. I just wanted to make sure that that was covered in case anybody actually wanted to do something with it other than just have it on their phone. And, you know, it seems to keep the quality of the picture pretty high, so you don't be too concerned that you're doing editing on your phone. Even if you're a photographer, this should be a pretty good solution for editing photos. I was actually introduced to Snapseed by Casey Neistat, who is a pretty well-known photographer and blogger and vlogger. So it's a tool that is used by professionals in the field. I've used it for advertising a number of times, and I think it'll be a great tool for really anybody who wants to do just simple edits. Fool around. I mean, you're going to be saving a copy of the picture that you're messing around with, so you don't have to be, you know, afraid to ruin anything and gonna destroy all your pictures by accident. That's very unlikely. So play around with it, see what you learn, and share ideas in the comments below. Well, I hope you guys like this little tutorial. If you want to try it out for yourself, just go in your App Store or Google Play Store and type in Snapseed, and I'll show you how to do that right now, because why not? And there's the app right there, Snapseed by Google LLC. Check it out. I'm going to put a link in the description below. I'm going to try to put one for both Apple devices and Android devices. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments box. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.